Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner. And fans, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do another comic book countdown. That's right, everybody. I think I'm on comic book countdown number 49. I'm not 100% sure. I think I should pay attention to that because 50 is coming up very soon. Uh, but with that being said, we have a total of 10 comics this week, not my usual 13 or 14, but I do have 10 to talk about. And let me just say that none of the comics were bad this week. I liked every comic in shape or form. They may have been a least favorite type of book based off of storytelling or plot line and things like that, but nothing was really bad this week. So I was very happy about that. But however, I got to go with the least favorite and then make my way down, of course, all the way to number one. So with that being said, we're going to start with number 10, and that's top 10 because there's no others. And number 10 starts off with, and you might be a little bit surprised, Harley Quinn issue number 3. That's right, comic fans. This had to do with a Valentine's Day type of issue. And Harley Quinn is lost for love. She doesn't have anyone that loves her. Poor Harley Quinn. And it really, it shows in this type of issue. The issue is solid artwork, and you find that she, is lost for love. She's looking for love, and she sees people making out. She shows that the holiday is a day, made you to feel bad because it's like makes you feel bad if you don't have someone to love, and it makes you forced to buy something for somebody. And if you don't, you're going to be in the doghouse regardless. I thought it was a cute story. However, it was a filler type of story. And even though it's Valentine's Day and it's a holiday, we're only on issue number 3 of this. Why do we need a filler story? There wasn't any progression in the story. Artwork, again, is always really consistent. It's a pretty book to look at, but the only thing that progressed in this story is you find out that Harley winds up getting this therapist job. Otherwise, everything is the same. We know she lives in this apartment. We know she's got to pay the rent and things like that. And I would like to see a more thicker plot to Harley. She's a deep character, and I really want to see that in her with the humor. I like the humor in here. There's no reason why there can't be a deeper plot. It just seems like this is a slowly developing type of story that Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor are doing here. I'm not going to drop it in any shape or form. I just thought, it's very just not much to it, just besides Harley, eating some poison ivy's plant berries and then wind up having every guy in town falling in love with her. I just found it very, I don't know, I've seen it before. I've seen it in other stories and books and things like that. So even though it was humorous, I thought it could have been. I just wanted to see more story. So still, average book. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. So with that, we're going to move on, and we're going to go on to number 9. And number 9 is Savage Dragon issue number 193. Now, again, the reason why I like this more than Harley Quinn was because this had a story. This is a new direction. Even though it wasn't like in-depth plot, you don't have to be some mastermind to read, Savage Dragon. It starts you off in this brand new direction, and I felt that this was a really good jumping on point for readers. Savage Dragon is rich in history. The story has been around since, I want to say, like 92, 93, around in that time. So in that time frame, one of the longest running titles that Image has to date. And, this is all because of Eric Larson, and this time this story has to do with with Malcolm Dragon, which is Savage Dragon's son. And, Savage Dragon's powers have been erased. He's in prison. He has to try to repopulate the race. And so now the next man to hold the mantle is his son. I thought that this issue did a great job in introducing who Malcolm is, what his struggles are, at this point in time because he had to transfer schools and all his responsibilities and how he's going to handle through this whole type of thing is going to be quite interesting because he's under a lot of pressure. And he still is only, I think, a senior in high school. So, again, the book does a great job of focusing the pressures of Malcolm Dragon. The artwork is solid. It's done by Eric Larson as well, and it's written by Eric Larson. So he's at double duty on this title, and he's done a very great, he's done well. I can't talk. He's done a great job with the series. Great original characters and whatnot. So, if you're a Savage Dragon fan, pick this up. If you're looking to maybe possibly look into Savage Dragon and learn about Malcolm Dragon, which is his son, this is a great jumping on point for you. And I think I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So with that, we're going to move forward. We're going to move on to number 8. And number 8 was Forever Evil Justice League issue number 28. Now, this is a great book. I liked it. There's just other stories that I liked out there. The only reason why I didn't like this maybe as much as other books is because I'm not a fan of the Metal Men. Now, Jeff Johns did a great job at writing about these characters, and you never would think that the Metal Men would be, you would have feelings for them, but I think that's what he was going for. These are robots that were supposed to, go into bad situations, and they wind up coming up with different types of, personalities, like they were alive, like they were human themselves. And what's it called? And I forgot the guy's name. Oh, I'm trying to think. Dr. Magnus was his name. This guy who wound up creating these creatures in the next generation type of robot. And Cyborg wants these guys to come online because he needs help to stop the crime syndicate. There's nobody there, and you get to see this great origin story of the Metal Men. So if you don't know who the Metal Men were and how they were created, I think Jeff Johns did a phenomenal job. I think the artwork was done right here. He gave all these characters great personalities. It was a fun read. And in the end, you get to see these characters sacrifice themselves. And it looks like Dr. Magnus is going to try to bring these characters back to try to stop the crime syndicate. Another great page here of artwork. My only downfall with this particular book was that there's very little progression here, and I get it's a tie-in, but it was just an origin story of these type of characters, and I wanted to see something else with at least something with the crime syndicate here. I didn't know if a whole issue needed to be dedicated to the Metal Men, but however, it was interesting to see this origin tale, and I think Jeff Johns did it in a decent way. But it was a solid book, and I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. So moving on, we're going to go on to number 7, and number 7 is Supergirl issue number 28. This is the story arc now known as Red Daughter of Krypton. Now, I don't read Supergirl. I think I read the first issue and I hated it. And but when I'm a big, huge Red Lanterns fan, and when I wound up finding out that Supergirl wound up getting the Red Lantern ring, I needed to find out how the chick got this ring because it was driving me crazy. And when I read this book, I found out right away why she gets the Red Lantern ring, because she's full of hate, anger. It's just she, in this issue, regrets coming to Earth. She feels that Earth has just betrayed her. Everything that she's done has not gone her way. In a way, it seems kind of whiny, but in a way, she's very angry about everything that's happened to her, and she seems to take out her frustrations on Lobo. And you see that in this issue. I didn't think the Lobo story was still continuing. I thought that ended last issue, but it carries over to this particular issue. A lot of this issue had a lot to do with her going, I can't stand Lobo. He's driving me. He was dead in the Earth. And you find out that she's really whiny, again, in this particular issue. She's always crying. She's full of hatred. The artwork, though, is done very, very well in this book. I thought it was very well drawn. But you can see she's so angry, and you can honestly see why she wound up getting this Red Lantern ring. Um, let me see here. Yep, see, she's like, and she's like, I don't want people using me. I do this, and this person wants to use me. Kyle wants to use me. You know, this you want to use me. And so after all this is said and done, you think she winds up destroying Lobo, and she comes across the Red Lantern ring, and it's saying, you know, you do belong, and you belong to the Red Lantern Corps. And she winds up, you know, looking like this, and it's like, she got fire coming out of her mouth and all kinds of stuff. She's just like completely you know, changed into the Red Lantern. So I thought it was a fun book. You know, you got to look at it as action-packed. Interesting to see how she became a Red Lantern. I thought it'd be a little bit more in depth than what it was told, or how she became a Red Lantern. I didn't think it would be so basic. But I guess if all you need is hatred and rage to become a Red Lantern, then it makes sense why they did it in this issue. So it was a fun read. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that was that. So we're going to go on. And we're going to move on to number 6. So number 6 we go. And we have Superior Spider-Man Team Up, issue number 10. Now, Superior Spider-Man Team Up was a fun issue. You get to see the conclusion of how the Spider Patrol wind up betraying Superior Spider-Man, or lack of there, because in the issue you wind up seeing that Superior Spider-Man's little minions, or Spider Patrol, is not really them. It was a bunch of like people that the Green Goblin sent up and dressed up to pretend that they were them. So I thought that was a little cheesy. I wish the people did betray him in a way. It would have made a better story. But this was a good story because it gets to see a little bit of a glimpse of Dr. Octopus when he was a kid, and not having any friends and being betrayed. And that's how he felt in this issue. He felt that he was betrayed by the Punisher, or he was betrayed by Daredevil. And the dialogue in this issue was very well done. Between all three characters, and we get to see Superior really taking a blow in this issue, because everything that he's worked so hard to build and construct and to make his own identity in a way of Superior Spider-Man has been washed away. He's got no tech left, and I thought it was a fun issue, you know, and a good conclusion to a prelude to Goblin Nation, because in the end you get to see one of the little minions or whatnot have a tattoo on his neck, and he finds out that yes, it is the Green Goblin that's behind all this the whole entire time. So it was a fun read, and I'm giving this book, I think it's a 4 out of 5. So I definitely suggest you guys check out Superior Spider-Man Team Up. I think it's fun. It has a lot of, it's tied in heavily to the main book, and even though it's got other characters that are involved, I feel that it's enough to read. I think it's worth your money to pick it up. There may be a filler issue here and there, but again, I think it's worth the pickup. So with that being said, we're going to move on to number 5. And number 5 is Amazing X-Men, issue number 4. I love the cover here. I love how Logan is just like trapped in ice, and North Star is too, and they're just trekking through this journey trying to get through this particular ice and trying to survive. I thought that was really neat in the issue. That's how it was too. It was the will to survive. In this issue, I liked it more because it had more of the characters involved, instead of just going from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And it got to see the emotional attachment that Nightcrawler has with all his friends. And that's what I got out of this issue, and how strong Firestar is in this issue too for Bobby, you know, trying to rescue him from hell. There was a lot of great character moments in here that made the character shine, what made me like the issue so much. Great artwork here. Really love the way Firestar was drawn here. You know, Ed McGuinness's art is phenomenal. Really makes this book visually stunning. You know, Hank McCoy's going through whatever he's going through, and you get to see, Nightcrawler, help out with the situation. Storm does too, and gets him back to normal. You get to see a little bit of story of the Bamps in here. We see some flashbacks. So it was a fun news story, not too heavily involved in the pirates this time. Again, I really love Firestar. I think she is my first love in comics when it comes to a female character, by far. She was that first female that I saw in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and I loved her personality in that TV show. So every time I read her, um, it goes back to that character. That's the way I read her, and I think they kind of stay true to her in the series, and that's why as long as she's in this book, I have a feeling that I'm going to be picking her up. It's kind of like almost like Kitty Pryde for Comic Uno. It's that same element. I can't go without her, and this is the only book she's in right now, and I've waited a long time for her to make her return. But then towards the end of this issue, you get to see a little bit again of North Star and Wolverine, and you get to see them relive with Nightcrawler, and you get to see them reunited. So it was really fun. And then at the end of this issue, we get to see also the final battle that's going to happen between Azazel and Nightcrawler and the rest of the crew, which they're all beat up and scarred, but they're all kind of like pirate looking. So this was fun. This was probably my favorite issue of the series. Besides, I think was it the first one that was introduced. So I really liked this. So I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5. And yeah, so good stuff here. So with that, moving on, I'm gonna go on to, I think we're on number 4. Check here. Yep, number 4. And number 4 is Daredevil issue number 36. The conclusion to this story, or to this volume, if you want to say so, call it. Now, the reason why this book is number 4 is because I don't feel you really had to end this series itself to just start over next month. They're going to do a 4-issue digital, infinite comic, and then next month they're going to start over with number 1. And I feel that in this particular series, you could have ended it at a point issue. A lot of things, all the existing titles were at 27.1 or 13.1 or whatever point 1. And now this one is ending at issue 36, and it's starting over at issue 1, and we're going to charge you $1 more for it. I still don't see the logic behind it. It kind of frustrates me. It's nothing that they couldn't have done with a new story arc with a point 1 and kept the price the same, especially since there's the same team on here. So that kind of frustrates me. However, the story in here was phenomenal. I thought it was very well done. You get to see great interactions between Foggy and Matt Murdock here on what their plan was in court. And you get to see all these heroes, when he exposes himself saying that he's Daredevil, you get to see all the heroes out there, watching the TV, and it says, I am Daredevil. And I think this page here is one of the best pages in the comic that says, I am Daredevil, and it has all the different superheroes watching the TV. I think that is phenomenal and so well done, and that's what separates this comic from a lot of the other comics. Mark Waid does just a phenomenal job with writing this book. We get to see Daredevil go out here and be in court, and I'm sitting there going, the Serpent of Society, whatever they are, is involved, the judge is involved, everyone's involved, and the courts are corrupt, the police is corrupt, and I was just waiting for Daredevil or Matt to expose himself, going, you say you're Daredevil? I'm like, damn it, do it, bro, do it. I'm like, show yourself. And right away, he's like, boom, does a Superman type of thing and shows the double D, and he comes up and he goes, we're under attack, and I thought that was so well done, and I really enjoyed it. And by the end, you get to see Matt Murdock, save the day and, get the city uncorrupted, and things are all back to normal. But he loses his license to teach law, and we find out that he has to go back to, San Francisco, pack it up, move, get his bar over there or whatnot, and go with Kirsten McDuffie and I think in Foggy, and it starts the new chapter in this story. Very well done. I really enjoyed this book. However, there are a few more books I liked better than this. that got me a little bit more excited. Just the thing that turned me down on this is just knowing that now I got to pay another $1 for this, and it shouldn't really affect my review. I mean, I gave it a 4.5, but it just doesn't hit my #1 spot because of that. It's still not going to affect the grade though. The grade was a great grade and it's a great read. And if you have not read this series at all, I'm sure the trades are out. Go ahead, please read it. It's great. All right, so moving on now, we're going to go on to our top three. Top three. Number 3, it's New Warriors issue #1. This book kind of goes back to, in a way, its old day. I feel like this is going back to the days of the 1990s where we introduce, Nova and all these young bunch of characters, and they go against Terrax, and I feel like this series is going to go back to that, where it wasn't as serious as like when they were in this reality show. And when you see the cover and you see the artwork, you can see that it is going back to that teen time, makes these characters look younger. Christopher Yost is the writer, and Marcus TD is the artist in here. I think that's who he was. And when you open up the page, I think the colors really are bright and uplifting, and it's not dark, it's not gloomy. It's a book that looks like it's gonna go in that happy direction, almost like Nova type it is, and I think that's what they're gearing it to. So you open up to this, and and this is how I remember Speedball. I remember him like this, and what this issue really does, and even though it seems like there's a lot involved here, is it wants you to get to know the characters, even though it's not a whole in-depth type of thing. I felt that this issue really focused on that. Right away, they introduce you to Speedball, they introduce you to Justice, and they introduce you to yes, Kane and Arcely. And if you read the Scarlet Spider series, I felt that here was the downfall. They kind of threw in a page or two in here from the last series. So I thought that was a little bit, cheap on their end, because Christopher Yost wrote that series. So it looked like he kind of threw it in there to relive what happened in the last issue. So you get to learn Arcely and what her code name is, which is Hummingbird. So they kind of threw that into you. And if you read again Scarlet Spider, it seemed like he was a little bit whiny, like we're used to. And then you get to see Sayla Burke, who is Sun Girl. And if you guys are not familiar with Sun Girl, Sun Girl was in Superior Superior Spider-Man Team Up, the last story arc before this Prelude to Goblination, where it had to do with the Superior Six. She was introduced here. Her father's like a B villain character for Spider-Man. He was a college professor, came out with all this technology. This is her daughter, and she was introduced into that series. So if you guys want to read up on her there, that's where you can find her out as well. So again, these characters are very bright, uplifting characters. I thought they were, the only person here that was downer for me was Kane, unfortunately. And this story had to do with, something that I wasn't expecting. What was their name? The something 7, the Harlem 7 or the Salem 7. That's what it was. And I was kind of like, oh, that's okay, I guess. And and again, if goes back to Kane, and Nova's not really in the picture at this point. We get to see the Namor type of female character that's in this series as well. So there was a lot of characters introduced. Again, Nova wasn't too much in here. She was in at the last page, and then he gets taken out by the Evolutionaries. And you know what? I am not too familiar about the Evolutionaries. I don't know that much about them since I went back into comics since 2008. So I need to do some more research and find out more about them. Sorry I spent a decent amount, a large amount of time on this particular issue, but I felt that this was a solid issue. I did like it. I did like the introduction to these characters again, and I feel like this will be a solid series. I felt that they focused a lot on the characters, on at least getting you to know these characters a little bit, at least by name. And I'm sure you'll get to know more about them as time goes on individual stories. Again, if you read Nova, you know who he is. If you read Scarlet Spider, you know who Kane is. If you know same thing, you're going to know who she is. If you know past New Warriors, you're going to know Speedball. Again, Justice, same thing. Sun Girl from Superior Team Up. So there is characters out there that a lot of you might know already, but stick with the series, give it a try. That's it. I'm moving on. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. That's spent too much time on that book, but I liked it. I'm happy that the series is back. Kind of passionate about it. This is my childhood. So, moving on to number 2. And number 2 is Grim Fairy Tales issue number 94. Now, I haven't read Grim Fairy Tales in a long time. It's been about 20-something issues since I actually read the series on a consistent basis. And I feel that the series really got me excited what's to come, and that is the Age of Darkness. And we get to see we get to see Salem Mathers, who is our main heroine in this series, and she is someone that trains these people with special abilities. They're called the Highborns or False Bloods, and she gets them prepared for battle to do these battles in different realms. It has to do with fairy tale lands, what has to do with Oz and Mist and Neverland and Wonderland. And if you are familiar with Zenscope Entertainment, that's what everything focuses on. Everything that has to do with tales that we've all read when we were children, like Peter Pan, and even Tinkerbell and Red Riding Hood, and there's all these characters in here. And in Salem Mathers in this particular issue is looking for this particular girl by the name of Amanda Powers, and she is I guess a highborn, and she needs her for training. Amanda Powers winds up getting kidnapped. I'm sorry, Salem Mathers winds up getting kidnapped, and by this hooded character. She winds up getting rescued, and it just got me really excited for what's to come with Age of Darkness, because it's supposed to change the grim fairy tale universe in a new way, but better and stronger. And at the end of this issue, you find out you come across this Dark Queen here. These issues are really fun. If you go back to the early days of Grim Fairy Tales with Salem Mathers, telling a Grim Fairy Tale story to someone that could make a wrong decision, she shows them this book and guides them in the right direction. These books were horrific but fun to read with sexy covers, and this Zenoscope Entertainment has grown into new heights and new directions, and really has opened up this entire universe for readers, and they've really have grown over the past 9 years or so. So great stuff to come here. If I'm giving you something different to read, it's going to be Grim Fairy Tales. Don't be turned off by the covers. Not all the covers look like this. This just happened to be the one that was in my pull list. A lot of the real nudity type of covers are in these conventions and things like that. They have toned down covers. They're fun stories to read. So I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5 as well. So what makes 4.5 out of 5. So what makes my number 1 book of the week? And this book was great, and I'm giving it the number 1 pick of the week because it is just a consistent book. It tends to be great each and every month you read it, and it makes you want to pick up that next issue. It's fun, it's uplifting, the character is positive, it's not dark, and that is Nova issue 13.1. This was one of the best .1 issues that All New Marvel now has provided for its readers. And Nova is on fire. I don't know who does not like this title. And if you're not reading, let me just recommend this title to you. You're going to have fun with it. You'll fall in love with Sam Alexander. He is a great character. Everything about him, his family, his mom, his sister, it makes you want to follow what he does. As Nova, as a brother, and as a son to his mom, it's really fun. we feel that Nova in this particular issue, or Sam, is on top of the world, that nothing can touch him. But right away in this issue, things go horribly wrong for him. He winds up getting beat up in the particular issue by the bully, and all of a sudden what happens is, guess who shows up? And I haven't seen this character in a long time, is Better Ray Bill. And he's drawn phenomenally in here. And I thought Paco Mandina does a great job on the artwork on here. He's almost just like Ed McGuinness. It's very similar artwork. Great style here. And the dialogue in this particular issue is phenomenal because, Sam Alexander sits there and goes, "What are you, a Thor wannabe?" He goes, "What are you, Thorsey?" He calls him Thorsey. And I thought it was hysterical in the issue. You see them do this battle, and the whole thing is in this issue is that Sam Alexander helped out a villain. So we all knew in the last issue, a lot of us that read this last issue knew that Sam Alexander, there's something shady that he did to help these last people. And what happened is, Nova has to make it right, and he has to go with Better Ray Bill on this next adventure. But he always got to take care of something. He's got to take care of, he's got responsibility that he's got to take care of. And this shows that he's not a perfect character either. He's supposed to watch his sister, so he has to find a replacement. He's got to find his little girlfriend, and I forgot her name. But that's her right there. And I think it was Carrie or something like that. Yeah, I can't find it right this moment in time. But he finds his little girlfriend to help watch his sister or whatnot. And then he winds up framing the guy that was beating him up. And he goes, "Dude, I don't know what happened." He's like tripping. He says he sees this big Thor, or this guy that's a horse that looks like Thor. And he's like, "I don't know." He was crazy. So, he winds up saying bad stuff to the police. But, his mom is very protective of him, doesn't want to go him out in space by himself. She limits him with weekends and and days that she works, and he's like, "Well, Mom," he's like, "I got help," he's like, I got him with me, and she screams and freaks out. And you see them go out and start going out and adventure in space. Great book right now, and I highly suggest that you guys go out and read Nova. One of my favorite overall books that Marvel puts out today. Reminds me of SpiderMan in lots of ways because of Sam Alexander. Doesn't have so much Parker look, but just has that humor, and you just want to follow him. He's a very relatable character, and I feel that this book is great for younger readers too, because this is something that kids of today can kind of relate to him. He rides a skateboard. It's modern day stuff. It's kind of like when I was a kid, growing up to Peter Parker. It's like I can relate to Peter Parker, and I can see a lot of people relating to Nova or Sam Alexander. So this one gets a 5 out of 5 from me. So guys, there you have it. There's your countdown this week. There was 10 comics in all. You saw the worst, you've seen the best. And as always, guys, leave your comments below on what your favorite comic book of the week was and what your worst favorite book of the week was. And guys, until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spiderslayer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.